Hey guys, it's Krystal Lucier here, also known as your Home Sweet Home 519 Realtor, Krystal Lee Moore. And this is Realtor Life, a fun and entertaining look at life in the trenches as a real estate professional in Ontario. Let's dive right in. So, we just had our awards lunch at our brokerage, and I don't know if everyone is into awards or not into awards, but something happens with us when we get to celebrate. And what's funny is I was talking with some of the other agents, and every company has its own award levels. So in Royal LePage, the top award you can get is the Chairman's Award, and it means you're top 1% of the entire country. And then we have the Executive Circle, Red Diamond, Ruby, Diamond, Director's Platinum, and on and on. So what's interesting, because other companies have similar tiers, and sometimes they're called Diamond, sometimes they're called Premium, and it doesn't matter, because really it's just a little expression that you can say, hey, everyone, guess what? I'm doing well. But the general public has no idea what these awards mean. So like a Ruby Award in one company might be the bottom award, and then a Ruby Award at Royal LePage is one of the top awards. So it's hard for the public to know what you did. So that means if you did really, really well, they may not know what that means. And if you didn't do so well and you're kind of bummed about it, they probably still don't know what that means. So ultimately, we do the awards, they're little things, they're incentives. That's all they are. They're just little kind of working towards something, and then you get it. And if you don't actually get what you work towards, at least you're getting something close to it. And that's because there's a philosophy that whatever you aim for, you will get. So if you aim for nothing, you will hit it every time. If you aim for something high and you get something a little bit less, you've still aimed for something high, and it's a big deal. So it's important, and you also have to look at how the awards are structured. So at Royal LePage, our year goes from November 15th to November 14th. So that's your year. So if you do a lot and you have it going on so that you do most of your business in December that year, then you're starting out the year great for the following year, but that year you may not hit those goals you wanted. That happened to me in 2020. And ultimately, you just have to decide what is going to be pushing you. If you're not an awards person, some people don't really care, then that's fine. Then maybe there's something else that you can go for. Maybe money is what motivates you. Maybe helping a certain number of families or doing a certain number of deals motivates you. Maybe you want things. Maybe something that you're aiming for, the reason you work so hard, is that you really want a vacation. You want to be able to take your family away, or you want a second property, or there's a car that you like. What's cool about this business is that you get to decide. It's very, very tailored to what you want and what motivates you. And that is why there's fundamentals. They're absolutely fundamentals, but you don't have to do it in any specific way. And quite frankly, if you did your business exactly like someone else, you might not like it. Even if you got their results, you may not like doing business inauthentically, which is the whole point of being authentic. So that's where awards come from. And when we talk about awards, the other thing I just want to take note of is be careful with comparison, because this business, I was speaking to a colleague today, this business really relies on you staying at your best. And we've talked about that in previous episodes, but you are the biggest resource that you have, which means that if you let yourself get down on yourself because you didn't hit an award level, or something didn't come together, or your clients were super bummed that they didn't sell their house this week, if you let that drag you down, it could be really dangerous, and it could be a cycle that you can't get out of. So you have to really, really dial in to what motivates you. You have to make sure you take care of yourself emotionally, mentally, physically, all of that, because you're all you've got. even if you have a team, you as an entrepreneur, we are very, very lucky. We have the ability, if we work hard and we put the work in, we have the ability to make a very good income. But we also have the ability to make less than no income. It's not for everyone, this real estate life, but it is very rewarding if you love helping people, and if you really focus in and you can really just dial into that mental strength and the relentlessness, the keep going, and really to get up if you fall. Our last episode was called Keep Effing Going, and that's the thing. There are going to be days that you're just like, forget this. But you just really need to keep your eye on the prize. Which brings me just to when you are looking online. So let's say you're on Instagram, on Facebook, whatever it is, because you do want to have, you need a presence. I once lost a deal to a colleague, and the main reason I lost it, I found out, was that this is just when Instagram was becoming popular, and the client looked at his Instagram and looked at my Instagram. Now, at the time, mine was private. It was just like my family. And the decision was made that he is busier and sells more real estate because I don't have an Instagram page. So when you don't get a deal, your best bet is to kind of calculate whatever you would have made on that deal. And that becomes the new price that you paid for a piece of education. So you bet your boots, I went and created an Instagram page with my business because I thought I didn't really consider that people were looking at Instagram and deciding about me as a professional. So it's great to have that presence so people can look it up. Be careful looking at other people's social media feeds though, because there will be people, like I know this one agent, really nice guy, he does like the faux pas, but it drives me nuts because he posts all of his sales on his personal page. So naturally, all of our friends heart it, like it, congratulate him, and that's great. You're not really supposed to do that, or I mean, you weren't supposed to do that. Maybe you are now, but it's a way that he is authentically sharing his experience, and people are responding. So it's kind of like when you learn something a certain way, you have to be willing to change that narrative, and to be okay if someone else changes it and it works for them. So you really just have to look at someone else's successes and celebrate them, and then focus on your own successes and not worry about comparison. If you have a bad week and you don't sell a house, but it seems like the person that you're following on Instagram just sold like 17 houses this week, isn't that great? Maybe they did, maybe they didn't. More often than not, we're finding out that sometimes the vision of someone's business on social media isn't true, or they're leading a team of several people and they're posting as though they're their own sales. There's no wrong way to do it. It's however, as long as you're being ethical and legal, but as long as you understand that a social media presence it's painting a picture, it's telling a story. It may not be true, and you certainly cannot compare or let yourself feel less than if you see someone else's social media. It's kind of like back in the day. I say back in the day, I feel like it was just like in the last few months or last year. Following fitness models on social media is really tough, especially if you're like as a woman in her 40s. It's great to see that like 85% of 25-year-olds who are in fitness programs can really just crush it. But if it's not motivating you, if it's actually making you feel worse about yourself, then get rid of it. Just cut it out. If it is motivating you, all the power to you. Do whatever you need. But the key is just to make sure that you're at your best, which means you can't be surrounding yourself with things that make you feel bad. So just avoid comparison. And I mean, things like this, like an award luncheon, like we're all celebrating. And unfortunately, will naturally compare sometimes, like because there are different levels. But it's very important, just whenever you do have any sort of a setback or you're upset, just make sure you remember that it's temporary. Keep your eyes on the prize, which is ahead. So keep your focus on your goals, and just remember you can learn from any setback, but that it is temporary. The other thing I just wanted to mention, and this is interesting because we're going to have more and more discussions about this as time goes on, and that is in the housing shortage that we're in. We had a great talk from Phil Soper, who is the CEO of Royal LePage. So we were just chatting about the direction the market is heading in. And as we've been mentioning for a long time, we are still in a housing shortage. So we have a lot of people, not enough housing. That's a very important key, because as we go through the next few years, we are going to see the market continuing to get stronger. I personally don't think it's going to go back up to those crazy highs of 2021 and 2022. But I mean, time will tell. But I think that we're heading on a good trajectory right now. And as much as we didn't love the stress test, it was actually mentioned today, and I agree, it is really saving a lot of people and allowing them to stay in their homes and renew their mortgages because they were already prepared for a higher interest. So with the last couple minutes, I just want to talk about two things. Number one, commission conversations. So just a couple tips and tricks that you can enter into your conversations. And then the final thing is different ways that people are buying real estate, buying anything, but all of the different models that are coming through, and how to just really make sure that you are not getting lost in the weeds, and that you're referring any conversations about legal, financial, all of that to experts. So the first thing, the commission conversation. It's been noted that calling it commission isn't always helpful, and I would agree. We tend to have that conversation. I don't believe that you should be trying to get someone to sign with you based on kind of that lowest commission, because and I remember years ago I took a training, and the question was, is that how you're selling someone's house? Are you going to say, hey, please buy it, we'll lower the price until you agree? Because that's basically the same as saying, please choose me, I'll lower the price until you agree, versus saying this is the value and defending it. So sometimes I've been told, like, people don't like to defend the percentage that they charge. And I think there's nothing wrong with defending it. You explain it, explain where it comes from, explain the value, and let someone make a decision. There are people out there that are charging higher. There's people that are charging lower. It is a negotiable piece, but that doesn't mean that your go-to should go to be the lowest, especially when we're talking about listing a home and the costs and the length of time you might be keeping a listing. So there are a lot of different options out there, but just keep in mind that you're able to create a commission structure and defend that structure. Explain to someone, break it down, tell them where the costs go. I don't agree with telling them that you have to pay a lot of taxes, because it's true that we do. It's actually insane. This is kind of tax time now, and it's not fun. But that's not, I mean, you chose to be a realtor. You shouldn't be explaining that they have to pay more because you are in a higher tax bracket. It doesn't really land well with clients. But you could explain to them that there are costs associated with their listing, that there are costs associated with the brokerage, that there's splits, there's payouts, there's staging, there's photos, there's all of these things. And ultimately, at the end of the day, you are able to do a great job for them because you're not volunteering. This is your career. So it's okay to have that conversation, but just get good at the dialogue. And when it comes to dialogue, I think it's also important, as we're getting into different ways to do things. In Ontario, we just had to implement the information guide, and TRESA, as the last phase just came in to effect last December. So I would say, like, I've done so much training with TRESA, and I would say I understand it very, very, very well. even then, I was stumbling on my words the first couple times I was trying to explain it to clients. So do some role playing, like just if you're not chatting about it, and definitely print out the info guide and go through it. Go through it on your own before you're going through it with a client, and make sure you understand it so that you can explain it to someone. I really like the Rico sharing tool, the online sharing tool, because then you know that the clients acknowledged it. But it's okay to go through it with them. Like, I just was told from a client that another agent had just said, here, sign this, don't worry about what it says. Don't say that. That's not the right way to do it. You really want to explain it. So just print it out and go through it as an exercise. It'll be good because you'll notice that there are changes, but it's pretty straightforward, and it's pretty it's a comprehensive document, but clients really like understanding it, and it's very well written. So print that out and take a look through, highlight it, keep a copy, whatever you need to do. So those are basically the things I just wanted to chat about today. If you have questions, if you want to talk, if you want to be a guest on the podcast, we're going to start having guests very soon. We already have a few lined up. So stay tuned for those. And I hope everyone has an amazing, amazing day. Stay focused, keep selling, and don't forget to take a few minutes for yourself. Have a great day, guys.